Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. Our next guest is the author of From Feeling Unwanted to Wanting to Feel, Trapped by the Burden to Be Perfect. Tonight, licensed psychologist Dr. Jeanette Raymond joins us to tell why her new book will resonate with so many. Please help me welcome back to the show, Dr. Jeanette Raymond. Welcome back.
Oh, it's lovely to be here. I've been looking forward to it.
I have too. Last time you were on the show was in 2014, and we were talking about the fear of intimacy.
Yes.
At the time.
Yeah.
But now you have this new book, and it talked about a real life client that we call Ian.
Yeah.
Tell us why his story. For me, reading over it, he's the epitome, and so many of us deal with this. What we experience as children, or how we're raised, things that impact us, how they can show up in our adult life if we don't deal with it. Tell us why this story was so important that you wanted to talk about it.
Well, most people that come to see me have a story about feeling unwanted. They feel unseen, unheard. They don't know if they're lovable, right? And they try to be so good. Like if I'm the good boy or the good girl, my mom will want to play with me, or she'll see me in a good way. Because usually it's the naughty kids that get all the attention, you know.
Exactly.
So if you think if you're good, then maybe they'll want you and they'll see you as lovable and worthy and something special. Exactly. So it comes from our human need to feel special to the people that are important to us. And when we're little, it's usually our parents, and then it spreads to your romantic partners and friends and your own kids after that. So when you don't feel wanted as a child, you're going to do everything you can to make yourself the best you can be. Perfect in every way. Perfect in school, perfect in looks, perfect in behavior, perfect in your manners and the way you treat people with care. You're not selfish. But you know what? It kind of works against you, because all the naughty kids get everything and the good kids don't get anything. And so by the time the person comes to see me when they're an adult, they feel like they failed and they don't get it. Like, I've done everything right. I followed all the rules. I was good at school. I did this, I did that. I dated. Why am I suffering now from feeling like maybe my wife doesn't like me anymore? Maybe she's going to leave me. Maybe she doesn't really love me after all. Maybe she's pretending. How do I know? So there's this terrible need to feel wanted and seen and loved and accepted, right? But the way that they go about it, people like Ian, is they don't want to see all the parts of themselves that are human, like being angry or scared or vulnerable, or you're just feeling down, right? Because that makes you bad. You're stinky, and nobody will want to have anything to do with you if you express those parts of yourself. So what Ian did, and what many of us do, is I don't want to see that. I only want to see how good I am.
Exactly. Look
how well I did at this job. I went up the ladder of my company, boom, 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 and now I'm the CEO, and I've got my own enterprise, and I've got my own podcast, and like I'm the tops, right?
Exactly.
Right. So why is this happening to me? Like, why am I not happy? Why do people in my personal life not want to be with me and feel that that's all they need? Why am I not good enough?
Right.
That's the thing I hear all the time. I'm not good enough. Oh, I better go on a diet. I better change my hair. I better change my appearance. Maybe I need to go to Weight Watchers or anything to make yourself attractive and lovable.
Yeah.
And so what Ian found is he couldn't make relationships very easily. Because he had a very strange background when we think, you and I might think about it, but it's quite common. People are not always born into a two-parent family and everything's fine. So he was born into a situation where his mother had him by having an affair. So his father kind of disowned him, and his mother brought him up and with her ex-husband, believe it or not.
Wow.
Right, because that's how close they were.
Yeah.
And so he never really had a dad. And so he had two moms, the ex-husband's mom and his own mom, and back and forth, and his mom was depressed. So he grew up not really knowing who he was, what he was. So he kept trying to be the good boy, and he could get a bit of love here and there. And then when he grew up, he just wanted to escape. And so he left the area where he lived and started a life in a big city and had a few girlfriends and a job. But every day he woke up, I'm going to get fired. I'm going to do something wrong.
You start feeling like everything was gonna crash before him.
Yes. And we all know that feeling, right? You get up and you think nothing's going to work. Everything, no matter what I do, somebody's going to find fault.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my girlfriend. I'm going to lose my friend. Like, you live in this constant fear of loss and abandonment.
Yeah.
So what do? You don't want to feel that, because it's, how could you live like, how could you survive feeling that? So what he did, and what we do, is, I don't want to feel all those feelings, so I'm going to put them away somewhere.
Right.
Right? I don't want to feel them.
I deal with it. Yeah.
Right? But guess what happened? The feelings didn't go away. Guess how they came out?
They came out physically.
Yeah.
Physically. I mean, some of the things you discussed, he had feelings of anger, dread of loss, but he had erectile dysfunction, abdominal cramps, constipation, diarrhea, sinus infections, insomnia. I mean, the list goes on. That's how it was coming out.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that when you push down those emotions, it will come out physically. Yeah. Yes,
because he could get attention that way. Right? Because if somebody sees you've got a rash, or there's something wrong, you've got blood coming out of your backside, that's going to,
Yeah.
But as a kid, he would get terribly constipated. And I told him it was keeping your feelings in. And he said, yeah, then I would eventually go to the bathroom and I decide when to relieve myself. So he was already kind of holding it in and doing it, and then he'd have diarrhea. And when he was a teenager, he had terrible acne. And he was so ashamed of it. He felt ugly and unwanted. He'd go to the bathroom and he'd look in the mirror and he'd slap himself on his face, thinking that would get rid of the acne.
Yeah.
And then later on, when he was a teen, like many teens, when they're not happy, they go with their friends and they start taking drugs and drinking. And he did all that.
Okay.
But while he was doing it, he smoked just regular cigarettes.
Okay.
And he got a collapsed lung.
Wow.
And so he was hospitalized, obviously. And guess what? He loved being in the hospital because they took care of him and they made him feel that, right? And he didn't have to do anything to earn the love there. That was free because he was sick. So sickness equals love. And then he got a second collapsed lung.
Ooh.
And all night long, one night, he was in excruciating pain, didn't tell anyone. Nurse came in the next day to see if he's okay. And he was like literally dying in pain. That's how much he could hold the pain in. Because he didn't want to feel it.
Yeah.
Right? So it came out in all these other ways. And in his adult life, he would have, if you think about it, when you're angry, you cramp. And so he was having the cramps, but it would come out with irritable bowel syndrome or irritable bowel disease. And he would try everything, nothing. And then the insomnia just killed him because it went on for months and months and months. And he'd get angry with me because I couldn't just take a magic wand and say, here you go, here's the pill, whatever.
A lifetime of trauma. Just cured
it. Yeah.
So let me ask you this: when he was having because obviously he was fighting or chasing the love he didn't feel like or intention he didn't have growing up, were there things that were triggering him to make him upset, or was it just day-to-day life he was just having these feelings that he just was not worthy enough? Was anything that triggered him that maybe took him back to those childhood feelings?
Yeah. Oh, definitely, all the time. That's a great question. Yes. And it usually would be either he was trying to be the saint and please his wife, please the people at work, please his mom, whatever, and he wouldn't get rewarded for it.
Right.
He wouldn't get gratitude and validation. So he felt very angry.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm doing all this hard work. I'm trying to be better and better and better. So you'll like me. So you'll feel I'm worthy, that I'll matter to you. I'll become valuable to you. And they just kind of, that's what you're supposed to do. So, don't ask for anything. And he would get really mad. So then he would feel punished for being good.
Mm-hmm.
So the things that would trigger him, it would be the same things that he felt at home. He tried to be a good son, or forced to do this, or be the perfect person, and it didn't get him anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, it was being perfect made him feel even less perfect, because the perfection didn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So it kind of just ate itself up, and he felt even worse.
So this is a client that you've had for at least 12 plus years.
Yeah.
And what was it that do you know what triggered him to, let me go get help, get some kind of therapy?
Yes, absolutely. So the first thing that triggered him was bouts of insomnia.
Okay.
But at the time he had a girlfriend, and they were going through a rough patch. So that's why he couldn't sleep.
Was this a girlfriend while he was married, or was
no
this
before he was married?
Okay.
Yeah. So this was one of his first, adult relationships.
Mm-hmm.
They were going through a tough time, and he just wanted me to help him not feel the pain of the tension in the relationship.
Right.
Like, I don't want to feel it. I don't want to feel it. And obviously that's not how things work. So then he said, well, maybe I need to work on my relationship with my girlfriend. So could you send me to a couples therapist? Which I did. And it only lasted 3 sessions, and she left him. So then he came back to me, and then we started the work, right?
Okay.
But it was really hard for him, because he didn't want to feel anything. He didn't want to feel his anger, because that made him like his mom. He didn't want to feel irresponsible, because that made him like his biological dad, who disowned him. So everything was related to his childhood experiences. And the loss would be his mother's ex-husband, who kind of brought him up as his son. His mom was very comforting to Ian.
Okay.
So he would love to go into her house and play, and they didn't talk, but she was comforting human being, right? And he loved that. And his mother would threaten him, if you don't come to church on Sunday, you're not going to her house. Right? So all these things trigger, like his wife in the marriage. If you don't do this, I'm not going to show you any affection or whatever, right? That's how he felt.
Right. And so even to the point that he felt he was competing with his own children.
Yes.
And why do you think he felt that? Was it because he wasn't getting the daddy, or was it, why was he in competition with them?
Well, first it was his wife's cats.
Yeah, the cats and her parents. Yeah.
Yeah, because when he first knew her, she'd had these cats. That was her, her pets, and they lived together, and he put up with them. But once they got married, and obviously they have the marital bedroom is the marital bedroom, and the cats would come in, or one particular, the eldest cat. And he felt like the cat was the man of the house, because the wife was choosing the cat over him. That's how he felt.
Wow. And
so it brought up all those old or very feelings of when he was young, that his father didn't love him, his biological father. His biological father chose his own family, not Ian.
Right.
Mother didn't want him. She married again.
Yeah.
Right. The guy, his ex-husband who was bringing him up, he was traveling all over the place. So, and and the woman, the man that his mother married, his stepfather, who actually adopted him, he was like out of the picture in the background. So he wanted to, when you feel unwanted, you want to be the apple of your loved one's eyes. That's the only thing that matters to you. And we all know that feeling, what a special feeling that is, right? That we are worth something.
Right.
And so that's what he wanted. And anything that would get in the way, including a cat, because he'd go to work and his wife would play with the cats all day, and there was no room for him. So we worked really hard on that for him to say, look, I'm the man of the house, not the cat.
Right.
Right? The cat is not allowed in the bedroom, can go elsewhere. And then eventually, when the first child was conceived, he was absolutely terrified out of his wits that his wife
But choose the child.
so besotted with the child that he'd be pushed away, which was his childhood experience.
Yeah.
Right.
So I can see why they're competitive with the children, because the cat, it was first the cat, now it's the child. Will this take my place? Will this?
Yes. And there's not only take the place, but will be loved more than me.
Love more, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Which is even worse. Like no matter how good I am, and how much work I put into this relationship, and however good I am at taking care of you and being sensitive to your needs and managing, being the breadwinner, and no matter what, it doesn't seem to matter.
Yeah.
And before the child came, he'd go to work, come home, and his wife would be sitting in the car in the driveway, FaceTiming her parents. So even when he came home, he didn't feel wanted.
Yeah.
And he felt like, she must think I can't take care of her. I'm not responsible. She can't lean on me. I'm not dependable. Oh my God. Now I have to compete with the parents. How do I prove to her and them that I can do it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And will she ever separate from them? Will she always be more tied to them than she is to me? Yeah. That was the fear.
So when someone is, I know people like this, unfortunately, who it's always something. It's always something. And and those are only symptoms to what's really going on with you. How do you, as a psychologist, how do you deal with that, as opposed to just putting Band-Aids on each thing, but getting down to the bottom of what's really going on with Ian, as for example?
Well, I'm so glad you asked me that, because first of all, with a case like this and most of my others, you can't do 6 months once a week and it's done.
Right.
It takes years, because I have to reparent them.
Right.
I have to give them everything they never got, so they can be the stinky poopy baby with me and all that, to have their temper tantrums, and I'm still going to love them and be there, and they can call me whenever they want, and if they're having trouble sleeping, they can blame me because I'm not giving them, I'm not being the mom and rocking them to bed and all the rest of it. So I do all that, and it takes years. And there were times when he'd come, started off once a week, then twice a week. And when he was going through this terrible period of insomnia because of all the envy and the anger and the terror, 4 times a week.
Wow.
And he would check in with, that's how much he needed to know that no matter how bad he was, how ugly he was in his anger and his rage and his intolerance of everything and feeling entitled, I wasn't going to abandon him. I was still there, right?
Did you replace?
That's how it's done.
Did you replace that? Did you provide him for him that comfort, that support?
Yeah. So he took from. I was able to give him by tolerating him and saying, being with him and understanding him, putting words to his experience and normal, because he was terrified there was something wrong with him. If he can't cope with these everyday things like having a baby and all that, right? So it's just being with that and helping him understand why yesterday he was feeling great all day, but he couldn't sleep at night. So I had to help him like join the dots. And then, you know what, what was so lovely towards the end of the book, you'll read it. He'd say, you know what, I had allergy symptoms yesterday and I know why. Because I had a row with my wife and she's not talking to me right now. So I get it.
So he started picking up on
Yes. And then all the symptoms went down and down and down. It's like very rare. So he would notice, all of a sudden I didn't sleep. I don't know why. What's wrong? Everything seems fine. I'm happy. I have my family. I have this. I have a house. I have a lovely job. I have a beautiful home and car. Why am I having sneezing fits?
Right.
Or why am I having this problem, this mark on my arm, or whatever the symptom, my sinusitis, a blockage. And whatever the symptom was, I was able to help him. Like one time he talked about this man who his mother had married, who kind of was his substitute dad.
Right.
He was dying of a degenerative disease while Ian's second son was about to be born.
Oh, wow. That's
right?
a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, but he said that the person who was acted as his dad, that first of all, he said, oh, I've got a pain in my back and down my leg, you know. And this person who he knew was going to die, he hoarded stuff in his home, right? So everybody had to clean it up. He wouldn't go to the doctor. And so I said, oh, it's interesting you have a pain in your butt, because that's what he is. He's a pain in the butt to you right now, right?
Yeah.
And if his sinuses were blocked, then we say, oh, something is blocked for you. You're not allowing yourself to feel sad that you're going to lose him, that he's about to die, or whatever it might be. Or you're sad that your mom is getting older, and so on and so on. So he became very good at that. So he's able to take care of himself more and be more aware. He started to allow the fact that he's human.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be vengeful, vindictive, because they're just human feelings, you know. It's not that you're going to go out and do it tomorrow.
Exactly. Right.
But those are who, and it's okay. So that was a big deal for him. Then he started to accept himself and come to love himself. Because if I could love him in all those feelings, then he could. That's what moms and dads do for us. If they take care, they make us feel it's okay to have the feelings. They still love us anyway.
So once he started grasping what you were teaching him and showing him, did it improve his marriage, improve his relationship with his children?
Yes. As you know, there's always ups and downs in parental and child. And so that was there, but definitely he was able to speak about his feelings instead of being victim-y and saying, look what I'm doing for you, and you don't even appreciate it. And then I won't be able to sleep. Then he could actually say what he felt, so they could have a discussion about it.
Yeah.
Now with his kids, in the beginning, he felt bad because he wanted them to just be obedient. Get in the bath, eat your food, go to bed, stop crying, don't throw things. And of course, they're kids, so they're not going to do it. And he would get absolutely furious and feel like he was useless again because he couldn't be a parent. They weren't obeying him. So he was bad again. And I had to say, look, every parent goes through this. This is normal parenting.
Right, exactly.
Right? But you're giving them all the power to make you feel bad. Right? So I showed him different ways of engaging with the kids so that he could not envy them, because he envied them so much because they had everything he didn't have as a child.
Exactly. Yeah.
Parents, grandparents, a lovely home, a yard to play in, lovely school, everything that you could ever want. And he would get absolutely out of his mind with rage because they were not being grateful. And I had to say to him, well, a 2-year-old is not supposed to be grateful. You know, that's what
they know.
Their life. Yeah.
That's their life.
Right. Yeah, but this is how he was brought up.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please go ahead.
I was going to say, because so everyone who doesn't have Ian's experience, but they can see themselves, probably a lot of people can see themselves in him. What advice would you give them for playing the blame game and not understanding why the reason why so many things are happening is not necessarily them. I mean, it's not necessarily other people. It's inward. It's what they're putting out inward. How would you get that?
But they're getting triggered by relationships outside, things that are happening. So it activates them.
Right.
And so our work helped him recognize that. And he'd say, oh, yeah, I can see where that's coming from now.
Yeah.
And he'd take a pause. He can still have his feelings.
Right.
That's the important thing. And what by the end of the book, you'll see he's more comfortable having his feelings if he's angry or sad or worried or depressed, and actually saying it and being okay with it. Like, it doesn't make him a bad person,
Right.
and it doesn't make him a loser.
Yeah.
Which is what he was afraid of, right? That unless he's perfect the whole time, his wife's going to go find somebody else and his kids won't love him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it did happen that the kids were wanting to be with mom all the time, and he felt very hurt that they didn't want to be with him. They were just mom, mom, mom. And not only did that hurt him, but there's no, if mom had one kid here and one kid here, there's no room for Ian.
Exactly. So not only does he not have his kids, he doesn't have his wife.
Yeah. And she kind of liked it. She enjoyed that. So she didn't know how he was feeling until he had to talk to her about, with my help, actually address the issues that were coming up. And he learned to enjoy being with his kids and enjoying them it was very hard for him. But what I helped him do was to see that the feelings that you had as a kid, they're having right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And you're feeling like your mom did, exasperated and frustrated and saying, do this, do that, do the other, or don't do it.
Yeah.
So he was having both experiences, and it was very hard for him one time he was feeling like the kid, and the next time he was feeling like the adult, and going back and forth, back and forth. Yeah. It's a very rocky relationship, like most parents.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the thing is, he's learning to tolerate it as normal. One of the things I told him was, in your imagination, well, how does a family look? What is your picture of your ideal family? Because that's all he ever wanted in life, was this family that he never had.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, well, we're together, we have a nice house, I've got a good job, there's plenty of money, and the kids, and we all get on lovely. Okay, so I said, you want the fairy tale where nobody ever gets, agitated or upset or competitive or whatever. And he said, yeah, I can see that, that I said, what you're going through is actually normal. Kids do fight. Moms and dads argue. And we talked about the triangles. Like, if the kids are with mom, there's 3, it's a triangle, and he's out. If they're with him, she's out. Like all these little triangles that exclude people, and how to make it more inclusive.
I'm curious. So as he started understanding himself and understanding his emotions, having to have those conversations like with his wife, know, the triggers and how he was feeling. If she's known him, since they got together, him to be this way, kind of in a sense having to reintroduce a different part of him by being more vulnerable and open with her. Or on how he feels, or why.
And he was surprised, because every time I encouraged him to not just tell me, but tell her as well, right? Exactly. Oh, well, I know what she's going to do. He kind of had it. He had the, but in his mind, it wouldn't go anywhere. So what's the point? Yeah. And then occasionally, and he'd said, I used to hate you when you told me that, because I don't want to do the work. Why should I? If I'm not good enough already, why do I have to keep trying to do this and do it this way and that way and the other way? Occasionally he'd actually do it, and he'd be amazed that she'd listen. Right?
She's probably relieved.
Yeah. Not that they would agree on everything, but she wanted to hear him, and they would have an opportunity to share their points of view and their needs and so on. So that's still ongoing, that's every couple has to keep that going. Exactly. Yeah, they have to keep going, and the differences in their way that they parent is always a friction point.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a book, again, depending, whether, regardless if you're married, single, just again, how that childhood trauma or
Yeah.
anything that impacted you as a child, how it can show up in your adult life if you don't look at it and kind of change the way you see things or change the way that you were as that young kid.
Yeah.
Where can we get this book? Where, because I need to order mine right now. Where can we get it?
It's on Amazon.
Amazon, okay.
Yeah, and the Kindle version comes out on the 1st of March. The paperback's out right now.
Awesome. Again, the book is called From Feeling Unwanted to Wanting to Feel, Trapped by the Burden to Be Perfect. Yeah. And I want to thank you again, Dr. Jeanette Raymond, for joining us. I mean, I'm going to continue to follow you on Twitter. I enjoy you. And for more information, you can go to our website as well as SteveKnightShow.com. We'll be right back after this.
Many thanks. I've enjoyed it too. It was lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Always.
Okay. Bye now.